Welcome to episode 33 of the Rex Chapman Show with my super dope homeboy from the L-Town, Josh Hopkins.
I like that. From the L-Town.
Yeah, from the L-Town.
Lexville.
What's up, Josh?
What's happening, Rex? You just got back from London, didn't you?
Been traveling a little bit.
Cheerio,
little bit.
How was it?
Hello. It was great. Had a really good time. Can't tell you what I was there for, though.
Ooh,
Sneaky. No, it's really just my new hangout. I just pop over for a bit, pop back. You know, that's what I do.
See your buddy Big Ben?
Yeah, and the Parliament.
Oh, look, kids.
Yeah.
Big Ben. Well, welcome back, man. You're in Brooklyn?
I am. I'm in Brooklyn. I've come back. We got trade deadline coming up.
Episode 33.
Episode 33 it is. Episode 33, the Patrick Ewing episode. We don't have Patrick, but he was number 33.
Larry Bird.
Decent player.
He was all right.
We got Ron Mercer, our guy from Kentucky.
Nice pull right there. Kareem.
Yeah. And one of my favorite football players that I should think of more. Whoops, my chair just gave. Remember there was a guy that played at Pitt back in the day. His name was Tony Dorsett, but he got to the league and it was Tony Dorset.
Right.
He was 33.
Dorset Award, right? They wanted it to be like the Heisman for anyway.
Number 33.
Shaq was 33. He was on our good friend of ours, guy on our show.
Kareem.
Well, yeah, that's the man. Kareem. And Shaq, that's strong. And
Lonzo Mourning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But a lot of basketball going on. It sure looks like the Lakers are struggling. You know, I feel bad right now for Russell Westbrook. And here's why. Russ is just what he is. And he's just always been a competitive, high energy kind of guy. When I watch him play right now, just as a fan, somebody that's been around the game, I watch a little bit of what happened with Allen Iverson at the end of his career. You can just tell, you know, yes, there are times that he can elevate and play over the top of you still. But on this team, it's just a mismatch. He has to have the ball to be effective. He has to. Doesn't know how to move without it. He's never had to. LeBron has to have the ball. I mean, you have to have the ball in LeBron's hands, and they're wildly different. But LeBron's more effective at this stage with the ball. AD needs the ball. So they're just, I think, they're kind of struggling. Well, they're struggling, obviously, but I hate it for him, for Russ, because, you know, people are looking at him sideways. It's his hometown out there in Los Angeles, and he's going through a tough time. He'll handle it, I know. And, you know, he doesn't care if anybody feels bad for him. I just hate that, you know, they're lumping this stuff on him.
Yeah, it's, you know, also you hate too, because the guy who's been a walking triple-double, I don't want him to be remembered for this years. You know, you tend to remember you the last part, you know, and he's just such a dynamic athlete. Like one of those guys you'd be like, boy, he could play a lot of sports. You know, he's just just quick and so tenacious. And he's still got some basketball in him. It's just terrible match.
I think so too.
The other moves that you thought were interesting at all. So they're still I was
yesterday. I was interested to learn that the Blazers traded CJ McCollum. Love CJ, but it was time to split those guys up, Damian and CJ. You know, Portland made a few other moves. They get Joe Ingles, who's hurt, who won't play this year. I wonder if he might his deal's up at the end of the year. I wonder if he might just go back to Utah. So I don't know what that was really about. I'm not sure that and then the Bucks ended up moving Dante DiVincenzo, who I really like.
Mm-hmm.
The Kings, and the Kings also got Domantas Sabonis, who I think that helps them.
Who
I
I
think
couldn't believe is I read that and he was like 25-year-old. I was like, he's just 25?
all-star, but he's they're kind of rebuilding. And
Sure.
he's been in a couple of places, and he's a terrific player. I think it made sense though, especially if Indiana's going in a different direction.
Yeah, he could have gone to a team and put him over the top. Instead, he's part of a rebuild.
Yeah, true.
I always wanted, and maybe if they're rebuilding right and they're doing it, but I've want Fox out of there because he's our guy, and
I know
that's the place. Just careers go to no. I haven't seen the Kings on TV ever. Like it's
it's
a tumbleweeds blow through that place if you're a player out there, and I just wanted him. I don't know, somewhere more prime time, but if they're doing it, good.
Breaking news: NBA. The Brooklyn Nets have traded one of their star players to the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers are sending Ben Simmons and Seth Curry to the Nets for James Harden. And somehow looks like Andre Drummond's going to end up with the Nets. That's big news, buddy. Big news.
That's bigger than big.
I don't hate it. I don't love it for the Sixers. But I think pairing a real point guard, Ben Simmons, who all he wants to do is pass, with Kyrie Irving at the 2, essentially, Kevin Durant, maybe the greatest scorer ever, and Andre Drummond, who they need another backup to LaMarcus Aldridge. They're right back in the swing of things if KD gets healthy. That's huge.
And a just knockdown shooter that you
Seth Curry.
Look at that. I mean,
no, he's statistically he's a better shooter than his brother right now.
Right. Yeah. So Maxey they didn't have to give up Maxey.
No, and I think I guess there's a couple of picks involved, but big news today, buddy.
So you think the Nets got a significantly better? I mean, you are losing.
Well, let's just yes. It didn't seem to fit real well with KD and James, but let's be sure and get this straight. Yes, you are trading James Harden, one of the greatest offensive players in the league, for maybe the best defensive player in the league.
Yeah.
Can guard every position.
That has plenty of offense.
Has plenty of offense. You got Patty Mills and Seth Curry, snipers. Patty Mills leading the league in makes this year in threes. So now you've got snipers on the floor. You've got KD and James. And now defensively, you just got significantly better because James is off the floor. Now Ben Simmons hasn't played basketball in a long time, but he's young. You would imagine he probably can go right now, but I like it for the Nets, man. I really do.
Surrounding him with, like you said, just the two of the best scorers ever.
Imagine him
scorer ever.
Imagine him on the floor. Simmons, Kyrie, KD, Patty Mills, and Seth Curry. KD can play the 5 for hits. Ben can play the 5 defensively for hits. That's terrifying lineup.
That is. This is fun. Tell me what do the Sixers look like now?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, he'll make them better because hey, you give somebody, all of a sudden Joel just got his world just changed offensively because no matter what, and James will get back, I'm sure, to being himself. But you give him a lot more freedom now. Now, they've got a man and a half guarding James that was guarding Ben before, or Joel before.
Right.
So anyway, did you read anything this week?
Actually, I didn't. It's been a tough week. So yeah, I did. What about you?
I traveled. I had a lot of time on the plane, caught up on sleep. Caught up on my sleep. So I didn't.
Sleep is so important.
It is. It is. I actually, it's funny. We should talk about this. I've read a book in my sleep. I was dreaming about reading a book and I don't remember what book it was. So I haven't read anything this week.
Sleep
either.
is fundamental. Don't forget that.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's been book club.
Okay. So football centric this week of the Super Bowl. And guess who we have? Josh, let's get right to him. You want to?
I sure would. I'm like a little scared little puppy that's happy.
Well, guess what? We have our homeboy, Timothy Scott Couch. Tim Couch.
What have I done to deserve this?
Former number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft, 5-year NFL veteran quarterback, SEC player of the year, and from our home state of Kentucky, welcome Timothy Scott Couch.
Yes.
What's up, man? Man, it's great to be on with you guys, man. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you both in a while, so it's good to be on and catch up a little bit.
So nice of you to do this. I just got to say, I just got to talk to 25 years ago me, okay? Bro, Josh, you make a lot of mistakes. Things don't go kind of the way a lot of times, but whatever you've done, you made some right choice because right now you're on this thing called a podcast. I'll explain later. I still don't get it. Wait till you hear about NFTs. You'll never understand. Not a problem. The thing is you are on a podcast with Rex Chapman and Tim Couch right now. That is the epicenter, the big blue mountaintop. So, and all you cat fans out there, don't be mad at me. I understand. Live through me. This is the greatest moment of any cat fan's life. And I'm here channeling it for you. Thank both of you.
Insane.
Unbelievable. Can't believe it.
We're on with the guy from Quantico.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And Cougar Town.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Perfect storm.
Yeah. Okay. It's embarrassing. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Guys, two Kentucky legends here. Tim, man, thank you for doing this. Rex, thank you for letting me do this. Tim, where are you right now? You're in Lexington?
Yeah, I'm in Lexington. Yeah, I just actually just moved last week, man. I sold my house that I've been living in for about 15 years. And so it's been a nightmare, man. Got boxes stacked up to the ceiling, trying to unpack and get settled in. But it's cool, man. I'm really enjoying my new place and just trying to make it feel like home and get all this construction done and get unpacked a little bit. But it's been great. So but yeah, I'm in Lexington, man, based here. My kids are in school here. My kids go to Lexington Christian Academy. So I'm here pretty much year round at this point with my kids' schedules. It's kind of hard for me to get out of town as much as I used to. But yeah, we're here, man.
That's great. I love it when the Kentucky guys stay in Kentucky. You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
Guys, let me just ask, because this is a question I like to ask for you super athletes. Tim, when was the first time you were like, wow, I'm better than everyone at everything? Like, what age were you? You were like, Mom, how come I beat everyone at everything? Like, when did you realize you were special athletically?
You know, I think I probably realized it early on, but, you know, where I grew up in a very small town in Eastern Kentucky. And I knew that, you know, I was better than the kids that I was playing against, but I thought it was probably just a thing that, you know, the competition probably wasn't, you know, that great as it would be, you know, in the major cities and in other states and things like that. But, you know, as I continue to get older and I continue to stay bigger than everyone else and stronger than everyone else, and I just continue to, you know, each level I went to, whether it be grade school, high school, college, whatever, you know, I just kind of always was, you know, just a little bit ahead. But, you know, I think probably for me, when I realized it, when I started going to camps, you know, probably 8th grade, freshman year, you know, things like that, competing against kids from across the country and kind of seeing where I stacked up. And I was winning, you know, MVPs of all these football camps I would go to, these basketball camps I would go to. So at that point, I probably started, you know, feeling more confident that it wasn't just a local, good for where you're from kind of thing. And it was kind of the thing that, I could probably, pursue and try to make, live out a dream with, and just try to take it as far as I could. So that's probably what it hit me the first time.
Great.
Tim, when was the first time you were, I want to get into it some more. You were a hell of a basketball player. I mean, like 3,000 points in high school. I was decent, and I had like 2,300 points in high school.
You're decent.
I mean, well, but I'm saying you scored 3,000 effing points in high school in basketball. I'm interested to know, when was the first time you realized that your arm was significantly better than all of your classmates or the teams that when did that happen? And then on top of that, when did you realize, all right, it's football and not basketball?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, as far as the arm thing goes, it was really early. I remember.
Was it?
And, kids were just barely able to hold on to the ball. And I had massive hands, and I was just out there gripping the ball and being able to throw it all over the field. And I just, as a kid, you're just playing with your buddies. You don't really think I'm good at this or anything. You're just trying to go out and have fun with your buddies. But, I started realizing at an early age, I can throw this thing further and harder than the kids around me.
But at a certain age, I remember getting to, if I went to a camp, for instance, I knew once we did the layup line, that gave me a lot of confidence. I could go in there and dunk it any old way. Yes. Did you kind of work that way with your arm?
Yeah, I think so. It's just every level I played at, it was, I was always quarterback, never played another position. It was just natural to me. And, I just felt really confident from day one. I started playing in about third grade. And I remember being under center, just like, I got this. This is where I'm supposed to be.
Third grade, you were like, I feel at home.
I just felt, it never felt uncomfortable to me. Basketball, as far as that goes, Rex, for that question, I really didn't know until I got to college, and honestly, Rex was my inspiration, growing up. And he was everyone's hero growing up. I think I was probably 10, 11 years old or so when Rex was at UK. So he was an idol to me. And, I wanted to grow up and be Rex Chapman. Every kid in Kentucky wanted to be, a basketball player. I didn't really consider myself a football player. I was a basketball player, and I was going to be the next Rex Chapman. And, that was my goal. And then I got to college. And, I came to UK to play both sports. And, Rick and Tubby were there. And actually went over and practiced with the guys a couple days after football season. And I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't going to be able to play football and roll in over there like it was no big deal and play basketball with Jim Shepard and Ron Mercer and Derek Anderson and Tony Delk and all those guys. I'm like, man, these guys are phenomenal. So, that's when I decided to walk away and figured that that football was going to be my ticket.
The Rex Chapman Show is sponsored by Ticket Smarter. Ticket Smarter helps customers from all walks of life experience the power and excitement of live events by giving back through children's charities and creating helpful partnerships. $1 from every transaction will help our charitable partners, including St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, the V Foundation, Quarterbacking Children's Health Foundation, and Coach to Cure MD. Ticket Smarter is the official ticket resale partner of PBR, NJCAA, and over 35 collegiate conferences with 250 plus universities, including the Pac-12. While I'm here in Brooklyn, I could catch a Nets game or any of the concerts coming to the Barclays Center. Buying with Ticket Smarter is quick, easy, and 100% guaranteed tickets. Find tickets to more than 125,000 concerts, sports, and theater events. Order now. Do you remember when we met for the first time?
I sure do. Absolutely. Yeah.
Where?
It was at your house. They brought me over. I was a senior in high school, and they knew I was a big Rex Chapman fan. And they're like, well, my one of my relatives lived across the street from you over there.
This would have been like 98?
96, I think.
Okay, 96. I'd have been playing in Phoenix probably.
You were home for the off season, I think. Yeah. And they're like, well, Rex just lives across the street from us, and we could probably arrange something if you want to meet him. I'm like, heck yeah, I want to meet him, man. So yeah, I remember coming over there, man. I was just like, a little kid from East Kentucky and meeting my idol, man. I was just like in awe.
It was amazing. I still remember. I remember them bringing you by, and I think you still hadn't decided yet where you were going to go to school, so they were kind of recruiting. And I had, of course, been keeping up with you for a few years and knew that, it was a big recruiting, sort of weekend for you. And I was going to lay it on thick, man, because we needed you. We needed you.
You didn't have to say much, man. I was sold at that point, I
think. Hey, what were your early memories, growing up, going to Rupp Arena with your dad, and at the Sweet 16, what was that like for you?
Man, it was awesome. Every year I used to go to the Sweet 16 with my dad. And I remember going to, watching Richie Farmer play against Allen Houston in those games. And man, they were just phenomenal. And it was something I look forward to every year. It was a trip I took with my dad every single year. Never missed one. And just remember, just that bond you get with your dad, going to the games and, just the whole tournament, the whole weekend is just a blast, and just seeing all those great players. And, it was a lot of fun. And, just remember going to the UK games and, watching you play, watching Sam Bowie play, watching, all those great players that we had, back then, and just sitting there, man, just dreaming about, one of these days I want to be one of those guys. I want to play for UK. I want to make a difference at my home state school, like some of these guys that stayed home and made a big impact. And I want to be one of those guys. And, so certainly watching you guys and that group, that era of UK players, and in football, as well. We used to go to football games as well. So, those type of people really inspired me at a young age to want to, be a Kentucky Wildcat and stay home and play for my in-state school.
How hard of that had to be a really hard choice. I mean, you're the man nationally, high school. You were the golden boy, and Kentucky wasn't.
Which made it easy for me. Kentucky's the best in basketball, but very different, very different.
Certainly wasn't known for football then. We're on the come up now, but we're certainly not known for football now. How difficult was it for you to make that decision? Because you had the biggest Notre Dame's and everyone knocking at your door. How difficult was it to go to Kentucky, that decision?
It was extremely difficult. Even though I wanted to go to Kentucky, like you said, I was National Player of the Year. In Gatorade, USA Today, Sports Illustrated, across the board, I could have went anywhere I wanted, number one recruit in the country. And, I'm getting all these offers from, Alabama, Penn State, Ohio State, Florida, Tennessee, everywhere. And, my dad is like, no, hell no, we're going to Kentucky. And I'm like, Dad, are you sure? Like, they won one game last year. They were 1-10. And, and I could go anywhere in the country. You want me to go play for the worst team in America? Why are we doing this? They run the option. I don't run the option, obviously. So I'm like, are we really? So it caused a pretty big, a little bit of an argument, a big argument with my dad. We got, I'm like, hey, it's my decision. I should be able to choose where I want to go. And once, I decided, actually committed to Tennessee. Coach Fulmer and Coach Cutcliffe were in my living room, and Peyton was there. I was a couple years behind him, and they're like, oh, you'll come in, redshirt your first year, take over when Peyton leaves. It's like perfect situation. And I'm like, I'm in 100%. Where I grew up closer to Knoxville than it is. It was. I used to go down there all the time to watch games and stuff. I grew up in, oddly enough, I was a Tennessee football and Kentucky basketball fan because you couldn't watch Kentucky football back then. Right. It was brutal. It was bad. I committed to Tennessee, and my dad, in the middle of the meeting, gets up and leaves. And I hear, and I'm sitting here with Fulmer and Cutcliffe, and they're coaching Peyton Manning, and they've got a great program going. And I'm committing to it. My dad gets up and leaves. I hear him fire his old red truck up outside, and Fulmer looks at me like, "What the hell's going on? We should wait on him to come back before we, make this official." I'm like, Coach, he ain't coming back anytime soon. He is not coming back. So we sat there in awkward silence, man, for a while. And I'm finally like, I'll talk to him, we'll get it straightened out. So when he came back, he was furious, man. He's like, you are not going to Tennessee. You are going to Kentucky. And then I actually moved out of the house for a couple of days and stayed with my buddy. And I finally came back. I'm like, hey, if it means this much to you for me to go to Kentucky and play football for the worst program in America, all right, let's do it. I said, I'm going to give it 1 year, though. If it doesn't go well, I'm transferring to wherever I want to go.
That's an incredible story. And it didn't go well.
It went horrible. And halfway through the season, I had my brother call Coach Fulmer and say, hey, this is not going well. We're coming down at the end of the season. And he was like, perfect, come on down, transfer in. You have to sit out a year, do all that. And then they fired Bill Curry right after that. And C.M. Newton, the athletic director at the time, came to me and said, hey, listen, if you'll just go through this process with us before you transfer, we're going to find a coach to really suit your skills. So I'm like, I'll go through the process with you, sure. So he comes back a couple of days later and says, we got the guy. I'm like, who is it? He goes, Hal Mumme. I'm like, I have never heard of Hal Mumme. No idea who this guy is. He's coaching at Valdosta State, Division II, I think it was. Mike Leach is his offensive coordinator. Never heard of Mike Leach. Never heard of these guys. And then they show up on campus, and Hal calls me over at the first meeting. He looks at me and goes, you're the starting quarterback, and we're going to throw the ball 50 times a game. How's that sound? I go, I'm in, coach. Shit, that's all I need to hear. Like, I just ran the option all last year. You're going to throw the ball 50 times a game? Like, yes, let's do it.
Yeah, you have got the number one recruit all over the board, the golden arm, golden boy, and they stayed with the option. I mean, that's it. It looked like, it was a terrible decision to go to Kentucky.
It was terrible. It was terrible. I remember getting to the point where, a couple of games into the season, I'm like, man, I don't know if I can play at this level. They just had me. I was in such, the wrong system for me. We had, the coaching wasn't good. And I'm just like, man, I don't know if I can make it at this level. And then, the very next year, we literally we were ranked last in the nation in offense that year, in points and yardage and everything like that. And then the very next season, my sophomore year, with new coaching staff with Mumme and Leach, we're ranked number one in America in passing and scoring. And we're lighting it up, man. The same players, just in a different system that's, putting guys in position to succeed, and that's what it's all about as a coach. It's not like, we're going to run my system. I don't care what talent I have around me. I think as a coach, you got to look at the talent around you and say, listen, this may be my system, but these guys can't run this. I'm going to adjust to the players around me. And, I think that's what Coach Mumme did so well is he came in and he saw, Craig Yeast on the field. He saw Anthony White. He saw all these talented players that were just kind of bottled up with the system that we were in. And, he came in and we spread the field and put 5 wide receivers out there. And, back then really no one was doing that kind of stuff. So we caught so many people by storm. And that's why we were able to beat Alabama for the first time in 75 years. We beat LSU on the road. We were winning all these games that we shouldn't have been winning. And I think a lot of it was because, we were just so different at the time than what everyone else was doing. So we were able to catch a lot of people off guard, I think.
How amazing is it, though? You literally, it was a terrible decision to go to Kentucky
It was.
Last time. Yes. Your dad, God bless him. But things, whether God, the universe, kismet, and 1 year later, things align to where you are in the best place you could possibly be. You're right with the minds that changed football to where they are today.
Yeah.
Those were the guys that made the spread what it is, and suddenly you were with them, just throwing darts.
Yeah,
I mean, it's amazing that can happen. And in the span of a year, you were at the worst place you could be, and then you were at the best place you could be. So it all worked out. Thank you to your father.
Elmer, right?
Elmer, yes.
Yeah.
Elmer.
And Rex, you had a similar coaching change that changed your mind to come to Kentucky, right?
Yeah. My parents or my grandparents were really good friends with Joe B. Hall. I had committed to Louisville, after my junior year. That was my dream school. And so I just wasn't a fan of how slow Kentucky had started playing at that time. Denny ran up and down the floor. Darrell Griffith was my favorite player, all that stuff. But then Joe B resigned and Eddie Sutton came in, who Eddie had a history of playing up and down at Arkansas. And so I ended up going there. Yeah, but very weird. Just, I'm with you, Tim, that, and what people don't understand whether, and I was not like, I would have said at the time, everybody loved Kentucky. I probably liked Louisville because less people liked Louisville. And, but still at the time growing up, I'd be like, forget Kentucky. Who cares? When they came knocking though,
right.
Kind of go, wait a second.
Yes. Yeah.
You mean they want me?
Right.
And then you go, and as a Kentucky kid, that just means something, right?
It does, man. Absolutely, it does. Yeah. It's special thing. You grew up watching it, and it's just wearing that Kentucky on your chest when you run out of the tunnel means something to you as a Kentucky kid. It's deeper than you're playing for more than yourself. Your family grew up in the state. Everybody in your family's a Kentucky fan. Everybody's coming to the games. Those kind of things. It just means a lot to Kentucky kids to be able to wear that uniform, and I think it always will.
And I think you make a great point. Because think about it. I still to this day. Let me ask you this: do you know one Kentucky kid who had or parents had season tickets to Kentucky games who ended up growing up and going to Kentucky? I don't know anybody. The only person I know that may have had Scott Pageant's parents, I think, had some tickets. They lived in Louisville, but other than that, I don't know anybody. And so when you're down there, we take into consideration, look, I'm down here. Most of my teammates are from New York and Georgia and everywhere else. We're Kentucky kids, and it does feel different.
It definitely does. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Hey, you were Kentucky, you were Mr. Football, and weren't you supposed to be Mr. Basketball and hurt your ankle or something?
Yeah, well, I was averaging 37 points a game my junior year. I mean, I was lighting it up. Yeah, I was averaging 37 a game. So it got to the point where the other guard on our team broke his hand, and then my coach looks at me about halfway through the season. He goes, you can't shoot the ball enough. I'm like, that's all you need to tell me. And then I ran off games where I had 61, 57, 59, 54. Like, all these are just back to back to back to back. So my scoring average just shot up. I ended up averaging 37 a game for that junior season. And yeah, it was crazy. And actually, I finished runner up that year to Damian Fishback. Ended up winning. He went to Auburn. But I think I was leading the state in scoring and stuff. Probably I don't know if they just didn't want to give it to me because I just won Mr. Football or whatever. But certainly it was in consideration. Then my senior year, I did hurt my ankle, Rex. I think I was averaging like 26, 27 a game my senior year, and I'd already committed to UK to play football, and I hurt my ankle, and I'm like, I just kind of was on cruise control at that point, So
you were all behind that at that point. We're like, hey, easy, fella.
I don't want to go into college with a bum ankle here, so I'm just gonna
when you were going through the process with the schools, did Rick talk to you at all about coming to UK? What
he did. He basically told me that you can come to UK and you play football, scholarship at football, you walk on the basketball team. So I was like, okay, that's perfect. That sounds good to me, because all the other schools I was considering, when I told them I wanted to play basketball, they were like, you are absolutely crazy. This is a football school. You're not coming to Alabama or Florida or Tennessee or Ohio State. You're not playing basketball. You're a quarterback. You're not playing. Yeah. So Kentucky was the only one that was actually saying, you come here, you can play both sports. Absolutely. Whatever you want to do.
Tim, they were lying.
They needed
anything to get. They were like,
campus.
You could play field hockey. You could do whatever you want. It doesn't. Can you imagine you with the NIL now? Both of you wouldn't have to go pro. You just.
I think Rex and I would have to take a pay cut to go pro.
Yeah.
NIL around them. Man, that would have been fun.
Were you now? You were nominated. You were a Heisman. Did you go to New York?
I did. Yeah.
What was that like?
It was insane. I'd never been to New York. Growing up,
Leslie County to New York City, right there.
Yeah, man, we didn't have enough money to travel anywhere. So growing up, first time I'm in New York is for the Heisman Trophy ceremony, and we're just kind of in awe, my family and I, looking around and just taking in the city and everything. And then we're at the the downtown athletic club for the Heisman ceremony, and it was just it was surreal, man, to take all that in. And then obviously, whatever it was, a month or 2-3 months later, I'm in New York for the NFL draft at Madison Square Garden. So it was a whirlwind, man. I graduated high school in '96, and then all of a sudden in 1999, I'm the number one pick in the draft. Three short years later, I felt like it went by so fast that I was still just a really young kid, just kind of being pulled in a million different directions, and but it was all I had good people around me, thankfully, that were kind of, guiding me and those kind of things. Because it's just overwhelming. Rex knows how it is to, be a young kid like that and, being a top pick in the draft and, you're getting pulled, this direction, that direction, people telling you should do this, do that, invest in this, put your money here, don't do that, do this. It's just so much stuff coming at you. All you want to do is play ball. That's all I cared about. Like, I just want to play ball and I don't want to do any of this other stuff. But, it's just part of it. And, as a young kid, you don't realize that, but you kind of have to grow into that role of, this is a business now kind of thing. And, it's not just ball anymore. It's a different level. But it was all surreal, man. Just that whole experience being there in New York and, being with the other guys. Ricky Williams ended up winning it my year. He had broke the all-time rushing record and, and those kind of things. But it was a lot of fun, man. We had a great group there, and it was a ton of fun.
I was telling Rex before we went on, I think I had something to do with your Heisman push because I was at the steakhouse here in LA and Jim Rome was there, and I sent him a drink with his wife or girlfriend or whatever, and said it was from the Tim Couch Heisman Committee. And so I think that might have been a little bit of the push. He was super nice. He came over and thanked me. He said, "Tim could win it." Yes. And so you're welcome. Is all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I appreciate all the help you can get when it comes to something like that.
Sure. Go ahead.
Tim, was Mike Leach as weird as he appears today back when he was your offensive coordinator at UK?
Absolutely. I mean, he was like, I remember when he first got to UK and he's coming in and he's talking about all this shit. Like, we're like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, he's talking about all these, like, historical, like, wars and pirates and, like, everything but football. And you're like, who is this dude, man? Like, what's he talking about? But it was just, and we didn't know who he was. He was just like a little weird dude rolling into campus. We didn't know he was going to go be Mike Leach. He had never called plays before or anything like that, 20 some years ago. So it was just, it was phenomenal, man, being there with those guys. Like Josh had mentioned earlier, like on the cutting edge of offensive football that is still around today. And it's now spread into the NFL. You got guys like Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. He's an air raid guy. All these quarterbacks that played in that system, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff, tons of guys that are having success that played in that system into the NFL now. And, we started that thing in 1997. I can remember my quarterback coach, Chris Hatcher, when he first got to campus. I was so eager to learn the playbook and get a head start on things. I call him up. I'm like, hey, man, I'm coming over to the office. I want you to give me a playbook. I want to get started before these meetings get going. I want to kind of get an idea of what the system looks like. He goes, well, Deuce, he said, we don't really have a playbook. I'm like, we don't have a play. And I came from Curry's system. We had a playbook.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we don't have a playbook. He goes, I'll tell you what, meet me over at Hooters. Let's grab some lunch. I go, all right. So we go to Hooters. Rex, I am not kidding. He starts taking out napkins at Hooters, drawing up the system on Hooters napkins. And that's how I learned the air raid offense.
Wow.
I was like,
I love it more now.
Wow.
And it just spread, and then, we took off with it in 97 and 98. And then all of a sudden, every team in the country started coming to UK, getting, in the off season, learning our system and learning what we were doing. And they implemented it into their programs. And it's still around today, man. I think, probably most people run some version of the air raid offense. So it's amazing how that thing started and, how quickly it took off and how much, longevity it's had.
Tim Couch learned the air raid at Hooters.
There's
your right there.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Do you have a favorite memory, a favorite game, a favorite play at Kentucky?
Yeah, there's many. I think my favorite one would probably be the Alabama game. Just because Kentucky's not supposed to beat Alabama. They hadn't beaten them in 75 years. Still haven't beaten them. Now it'd be 95 years, 96, 97 years they haven't beaten Alabama. That's the only time that Kentucky has won. But we get to overtime in that game, and we get the ball. It's like a 3rd and 8 or something. And we call a timeout, come over to the sideline, and Greg East comes over. I'm open. Of course, he's always says he's open. Give me the ball. This, that, and the other. We're just kind of like, shut up, man. You're always saying you're open. So finally, he's like, no, trust me. If we get in this set, this 3-by-1 set, leave me on the backside 1-on-1, I'll beat my guy. I can at least get a first down. I'm like, all right, let's do it. I think he's right, coach. When we line up 3-by-1, they go single high safety rolls down, he's 1-on-1 back here. I'll just get him the ball. So we go out, we run the play, and boom, I put it on him as soon as he comes out of the break, and the guy comes up to tackle him, and Craig slips the tackle, runs into the end zone. And I'm telling you, it was like instant. When I saw the ref throw his hands up, the whole stadium was on the field. They're jumping over the walls. They're climbing up on the goalposts, tearing the goalposts down. And you're just like soaking it in, man. And it's like, this is like the moment you live for as a college quarterback. That's what a touchdown pass in overtime to beat Alabama. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that for a college quarterback. So that would probably be my favorite moment and play that I.
Me too. That was mine.
Me three. My God, I got goosebumps. As a Kentucky former basketball player, I take great pride in the program and going to games, and you're always treated so well by the fans and everything. But much of Kentucky basketball history was already there. The good had really good history before I got there. You, on the other hand, our program wasn't that good. What does it feel like to kind of be looked like, this is the guy, not only you're a Kentuckian, but you're sort of looked at as the guy that started this whole thing here. Yes. And then what's that feel like for you? And then B, what's Mark Stoops done for Kentucky that's given them their first, 10-win season in 45 years?
Yeah. I think, going back to my recruiting in high school, I was looking at all these great schools, and it's like you said, Rex, there have been so many great players, historic players at these other programs. And I was just going to be another guy in a long history of good players. And that was one of the selling points that my dad made on Kentucky. He's like, listen, Kentucky hasn't been good since, the 70s when Derek Ramsey and those guys were there. It's been they've had a few good players here and there, but it's not a long list of guys. He's like, if you go to Kentucky, you can, rewrite the record books. You can, set this program in a different direction. You can be, the guy that, elevated the program. And that was very intriguing to me, especially at my home state school, because I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to influence some kids in this state like you influenced me, Rex. I wanted them to say, that's what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be number 2. I want to be throwing touchdowns at UK and wearing that blue and white. And then, after, we had our success, here comes Jared Lorenza and Andre Woodson and all these guys, and it kind of fell into place. And, then Kentucky was, had a lot of years of really good offensive players, in offensive football. And, now getting to your point with Coach Stoops, these guys have just taken the program to a level that I honestly would have bet my life we would never get to. We always had those really good. It was a great year here, and then the next year would tank. And then he's just up and down, up and down. The consistency that we have now in our program with Stoops and, Morrow and those guys, the way they're able to recruit and develop guys and putting guys into the NFL, we've got a ton of guys playing really well at the next level. And, the recruiting just keeps getting better and better and better each year. And, the transfers, the portals, guys are coming to UK. They want to be here. They want to play SEC. They want to be a part of this program. And I think it's just truly phenomenal what he's done. I would have never in a million years guessed that he would have been this successful here and sustain it the way he has. We've had 2 10-win seasons in the last 3 years, and we haven't done that. And we hadn't had one in about 40 years, like you said. So, it's been phenomenal. And, it just continues to grow and grow, and just really proud of where he has our program now. I'm proud to, go support those guys and love what they're doing. And it's just been phenomenal to watch.
The Rex Chapman Show, powered by Basketball News, is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easy way to play daily fantasy. It's daily fantasy simplified. It's just you versus the projected numbers, Josh. You can pick from 2 up to 5 players and an over-under on their projected stats for a single game and win up to 10 times on any entry. Prize Picks is safe and offers fast withdrawals, Josh.
I like the sound of this.
Well, Prize Picks allows mixed sports entries, offering every sport you can think of. Your Prize Picks entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. You can take the over on Ja Morant's points and the under on Anthony Davis's rebounds if you want. You can receive a match on your deposits up to $100 using our exclusive promo code NEWS. That's promo code NEWS for an instant 100% deposit match on up to $100.
So hold on,
Prize
that's
Picks.
program code NEWS, NEWS, like the news on TV?
That's promo code NEWS for an instant 100% deposit match on up to $100. Guess what else?
What?
Prize Picks has an award-winning, easy-to-use mobile app available in the App Store and Google Play.
What was that like?
Yeah.
The first draft pick. What were like the interviews like? Weird questions, tough questions. Like, what was that process? Because that not many people were can say they were the number one pick in any sport. But the NFL quarterback, what was that process like?
You know, that's a good question, Josh. I think it was a weird process of like you've been built up your whole life in high school and college, and then once the draft process is started, I'm sure Rex would probably feel the same way. They try to break you down at that point. You know, what's wrong with him? You know, they try to, you know, because, you know, they don't want to pay as much money. You know, they're trying to like,
right.
You know, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm like, I mean, you know, and you're sitting in these meetings and they're like telling you what you can't do. And I'm just, you know, and you're just like, you know, you don't want to be cocky, but you're just like,
your agent's telling you, hey, look, don't worry about anything they say. They're just doing this. It's still hurtful to hear.
Oh, it kills you, you know, because you've worked your butt off your whole life to get to a point, and you're like, hey, man, you start getting a little defensive, you know. You're like,
yes.
Look, turn on the tape, watch what I did against Alabama or LSU or Georgia or Florida, the best teams in the country. Go watch the tape. That's all I'll tell you. You know, you say
because a lot of what they're doing, it's propaganda, right? They're just like trying to like, oh yeah, he's got a bad footwork there because they want you. So,
and right now we can articulate these feelings, but at age 20 you still feel kind of like a kid, and you don't know how to act in this room full of adults.
You don't. That's deciding your future. Like these adults are talking to you, and you're like, I just want to go play for your team, and you're breaking me down here. You know? But you know, they started nitpicking the way I grip the ball, and I'm like, I think the way I've gripped it is working pretty well. You know, so they're like, well, you need to change that and this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, if we're going to change a grip, I mean, we can change a grip. Okay. It's not, I mean, it's weird. It's a different feel, but we'll work through it, whatever. So it's little things like that. But, you know, you get through that process and then they kind of start building you back up again once you get through the interview process and the combine and, you know, all the testing they put you through. And then, you know, you get on the field and start doing workouts for the teams. You're like, all right, I'll show you what I can do. You know, you want to make this throw, that throw, whatever you want to see in person, here it is, you know. So then you start feeling better and they kind of, you know, everybody kind of starts building you back up. But the draft night for me was, you know, it was a surreal moment I've ever had in my life. You almost like, it's like an out of body experience. You're sitting there in the green room, and you know, Rex, I'm sure you know you thought you knew you were going to go to the NBA, but you didn't know you were going to be, what were you, like the 5th or 6th pick or something like that? Or
eight.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's like you just never think you're going to go that high in the draft. You're just like, I just want to get my damn foot in the door. Like, just let me go play somewhere. Like, I want somebody to want me to play for their team. You never think you're going to come in as a high draft pick like that. It just never enters your mind. You know, so sitting there, and I knew I was going to be the number one pick just right before the draft. They had told me, and you know, but you still don't believe it until you actually hear it. You know, and the commissioner walks out on the stage, and he's like, with the first pick in the 1999 draft from the University of Kentucky, and you hear your name called, and they hand you the jersey, and you're standing out there in Madison Square Garden, and there's flash bulbs going off everywhere, man, and there's all the media you can imagine, and all these microphones in your face, and you're just like, golly, man, I remember thinking, standing on that stage, I was in high school 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. Like, I was in Eastern Kentucky at a town of 300 people 3 years ago. And now I'm standing on this stage. It's just amazing how quickly your life changes. And, you know, I remember my family being there, and, you know, everyone's crying and the whole deal. So it was an awesome experience, one I'll never forget.
You know, you said something earlier, and that explanation made me remember this. You know, it's a surreal thing. But also, you know, we're Kentucky kids. Had you ever been on a plane before you got to UK?
No.
I mean, yeah.
Well, actually,
I've been on
one time. Yeah,
I've been on one plane. And so I think we should try to illuminate is that, like, I was talking about this the other day, living in New York or Brooklyn at this point. Growing up, unless you could drive, like get there in 3 hours, that's where you went.
Absolutely.
Going, like, even visiting a place like New York or LA or Cleveland or anywhere, that was like something that you didn't do. So, and like wasn't achievable. So for us at some point, for a sport that we for sure just started playing just to play, and you don't realize all the hours you're putting in, all that if you get good enough, there are going to be responsibilities that go with all of this shit. Just you being a good player. Now you got to do the media. Now you got to think about, what you say all the time, what stuff that stays in the locker room, stuff that doesn't, all these rules that, now you have to abide by because of your job.
That's absolutely true. There's so much that comes along with it. And, guys like, when you're at UK or I was at UK, they put you on such a pedestal, and, like you said, just not really ready for that. A lot of, just don't know how to handle it. And, you do the best you can, you smile and you try to say the right things and treat people the right way, but it can be overwhelming, at times. It can, it's a lot of weight. It's a lot of pressure on someone, especially, Kentucky guys who stay home and they're making an impact. And, I think it's even under more of a microscope, because, it's just, you're a Kentucky kid. You want to do the right thing.
They've known you for so long. Yeah, they've known you.
They watched you play high school ball, some watched you play elementary ball, and now you're out there playing for the Cats, and it is a big responsibility. But you try to do the best you can. You learn from the mistakes because you're damn sure going to make them. I've made a lot. I'm sure you've made some, and it's just
absolutely.
You just try to learn from them and do the best you can. You're a young kid, man. You're 18, 19 years old. There's no handbook for how to be, an elite athlete, and, being 18 years old where you're getting all this, or you feel all this pressure and responsibility and everything. You just kind of learn as you go.
Yeah. You both have been such great ambassadors, and I can't imagine the pressure. The way I am too. I know Rex is like this, is like, you remember encounters that happened when you're 18 and you don't know how to handle, and you're hot shit and everything, that I would, try and go to sleep and I'd be like, why did I do that? What, the things where you're like, you're just like in the shower and you're like, oh shit, I was 18, I didn't sign that. But I know there are those things in your head, but you guys really did as good a job as anyone could ever expect. And people don't understand. I mean, yes, you're both famous everywhere you go, but in Kentucky, you're deified. You were Mount Rushmore, both of you. So, and now as you've gotten older, you're both so, and you were great. But you're both so gracious and kind. And I see you all the time. People stop pictures, and I know it has to be at some point overwhelming, annoying to your kids and whatnot. But thank you from all fans of Kentucky for being the guys that you are and that you have been, and representing us well. And what would you both say to Will Levis and Ty Washington and those kids now? What would you say if you gave them a bit of advice about off the field and court? What would you say to those kids?
Go ahead, Tim.
I think that, if I could tell them anything right now, it would just be slow down and try and embrace it, because it all goes by so fast that, you start getting this whirlwind of, you've got your head down, you're grinding, you're trying to be the best player you can be. And then it just goes by so fast. You need to take a minute to soak it in and enjoy it, because, it doesn't last long. It goes by really, really quickly. I would tell them to, just do that, embrace the moment, realize the responsibility that you have and the influence you're having on kids all across the state that are watching watching the basketball program, watching the football program every game, and the impact you have on them, and just try to do the right things. Try to inspire people, try to be the best person you can be on and off the field, and set an example for how to do it the right way will be my advice to them.
Great answer. Yeah. That's great. Rex, what's your not as good answer?
It's really just going to piggyback on Tim's because I don't have anything original. No, it really is. I remember somebody telling me I was senior in high school, freshman or so, take it slow and you'll go. Take it fast and it won't last. And I promptly left school.
See ya.
But no, the thing that I find with most of the guys that go to UK or any major school and have success as a freshman, that can go out there and have success as a young player, anybody that can do that, for the most part, the sport itself is not going to be the hard part. Right. They've got that. It's other stuff. It's knowing you sucked in the game against Florida, but you still had 20 points, or you still threw for whatever you threw, and you knew you sucked, and everybody outside of the arena is telling you how great you did, and keeping that in perspective, trusting your coaches and not, the people who are going to tell you played great when you really didn't. And I think that that's the main thing, because, if you can handle the playing part of it, you're going to do that just fine. It's learning how to, kind of grow up under the microscope is the hard part.
Right. So take it slow and appreciate it, and don't believe the hype.
There you go.
What we're coming to. Great.
That's right. Hey, Tim, when Cleveland selected you, made you their first pick in the expansion draft, how familiar were you with Cleveland, the Browns' history, and all of that stuff? Had been a franchise, and now they're coming back. Did you know anything about that?
I knew a little bit. I knew about great players in the past, the Jim Browns, Otto Grahams. I'd heard about them, and I knew the more recent history with Bernie Kosar and those guys. Frank Minnifield, Kentucky guy. So they had some great players. I knew about the dog pound and how rabid their fans were, and I knew that they were a very hungry franchise to get their team back in town. Because they had left to become the Baltimore Ravens in 1996. So they've been out of the league for 3 years, and now we're coming back in 1999 as the new Cleveland Browns, and they're like, all right, we're going to make you the face of this new franchise. You're the first player ever drafted for the Cleveland Browns, and I'm like, all right, let's do this. If you're going to do it, let's go all in. So
and Rex was the first Charlotte Hornet ever drafted.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. I wasn't really going to say that, but what I wanted, I know how it was for me, because you don't know. I didn't know. And Hornets were a brand new team, all of that, and we were getting the shit beat out of it. We got the shit beat out of us, and after going, playing at Kentucky and playing in high school, I hadn't lost games. We don't lose games. It's not like that. And so, but as the top pick, who the face of the franchise, all that stuff, the losing, it comes back on you a lot.
Yes.
And I wonder how, and Tim, you took some, brutal heat and physical abuse, just to your body those first few years. How, and again, quarterback, a lot of the glory all the time. But when you're not winning games, how hard was that for you, just as a young person, to navigate that whole thing?
Yeah, that was brutal. That was a tough year. Because like you said, Rex, in high school and college, you've had nothing but success. That's why you're one of the top picks in the draft. You've obviously just been, just climbing the ladder, and then you get into the league, and you went into a team that didn't even exist. I went to a team that didn't exist. The worst teams in the league, right? Number one pick in the draft, we're going to the worst team, and we're just getting, just like you guys were getting, beat to death. We started out the season maybe 0-6 or something before we won our first game. We were in a lot of games, just couldn't find a way to win. But the sacks just kept piling up. I remember I set the NFL record that year. I got sacked 56 times.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well done.
One that I wasn't happy to happen, but that was more of a just to try to show how tough you are. Just keep getting up.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're gonna earn their respect, they know you're getting the shit beat out of you. But if you keep standing up, saying, I'm here for the next play. Let's go. Over time, they just feel like this guy's, he's either crazy or, he's tough as hell, or he's too stupid to know he's hurt, which I don't know which one it is, but, you just keep playing the game. But about halfway through that season, it got to the point where I was like, man, this is overwhelming, because you're the number one pick in the draft and people are expecting you to be Troy Aikman, John Elway, Peyton Manning, all these number one picks that came before you. And, and they're like, why is he not playing at that level? And then not many people take into consideration that he's playing on the worst damn team in the league, and they just expect you to elevate it like immediately, like right away, day one. And, for me in Cleveland, Bernie Kosar set the bar really high for Cleveland quarterbacks with the old Browns. And, the fans just thought we were going to pick up where the old Browns left off. And I'm like, no, this is we're an expansion team, man. We got, rookies. We got a first-year head coach, never been a head coach in the league before. My best receiver was a rookie drafted in the same class as me. So, we're just young guys trying to make it. But it got overwhelming because you do feel the pressure, as a number one, from the media, the fans, hell, your own teammates, in the locker room, they look at you like, you're the first pick in the draft. You're supposed to, make a difference. You're supposed to bring us, take us where we want to go. But, it takes time. And, you just gotta, you have to have an unwavering confidence and belief in yourself that I don't care how tough this gets. Nothing's going to tell me that I can't be a great player in this league. Like you just, and because you're going to have, the media is going to be busting you. They're going to be saying, oh, he's a bust. He can't do this, can't do that. You're going to hear everything. The fans are going to boo you. They're going to do everything, but you can't fold under it. It's easier said than done, but you have to be really mentally tough to get through those situations. And then, my fourth year there, we ended up making the playoffs. So, we came a long way.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and it was the only time the Browns have made the playoffs in 20 years until last year.
Didn't it feel like the Super Bowl? I mean, it's your Super Bowl. It's your Super Bowl, right? I remember that. We got, to the first round of the playoffs. We won our first game. I remember thinking, holy shit, after losing so much, it just felt so gratifying.
Oh, it did, man. Absolutely. But for me, it was one of those things, kind of how my NFL career went. Like I had so many injuries. And, we got through that season. It was the only season I made it through start to finish completely healthy. And then we made it to the playoffs. But the last game of the season, we're playing the Atlanta Falcons at home, and we got to win the game to get in. We win, we're in. So in about the third quarter, I break my leg. We're up 14-7 or whatever. Guy tackles me, leg snaps. Can't play in the playoff game. So I'm like, I started with this franchise from day one, getting the hell beat out of me. Now I got to sit on the sideline on crutches watching them play the playoff game against the Steelers. So it was just that was a brutal day. I mean, even though I can imagine playing well and stuff, but you're just standing there like, man, I'm supposed to be out on that field right now. And it's just that was the worst injury, just having to sit and watch that playoff.
I remember your first year. It was like, set, hike. Oh God! I mean, it was. You couldn't even hit a slit. I mean, you were just getting pounded, and people said he is such a tough kid because you were just getting brutalized. And to that end, you suffered so many injuries. You got so hurt. 5 years, and you basically can't play anymore. You're just torn apart. What's that do? You're this potential unfulfilled, and you had some comeback attempts. Your body just wouldn't work, and then suddenly 5 years, you're out of the game. You're out of the sports. Everything that is your identity, everything you've worked and strived for. That had to be such a difficult time. How did you deal with that? It had to be so hard on your body before, and now your ego and your mind. How'd you deal with that?
Not well, to be honest with you. I didn't deal with it very well at all. I think every athlete at the end of their career transitioning to I'm not a professional athlete anymore is just a very weird place. And it hits guys, differently. Some guys take it really hard. Other guys make the transition a little easier. For me, like you said, Josh, I fully expected to, I thought I'd be playing to this day. Honestly, I thought I'd play for a long, long time. And I thought, at minimum, I was going to play 15 years. At least I was going to play 15. But then you get there, the injuries pile up. I had 2 major shoulder surgeries that reconstructed my whole shoulder, got healthy from that, tore it again, another shoulder surgery, got a broken leg, broken ankle. I got 4 screws in my thumb. I've got fused, my back is fused together. L3, L4, 5 is fused together. Multiple concussions, just countless injuries, man. And it just piles up. And, the shoulder surgeries are why I couldn't play anymore. After the first surgery, I came back. When I left Cleveland, I went to Green Bay. I played with the Packers for a year. So I got hurt in training camp, but I got accredited there. So I ended up getting 6 years credited in the league. But, after I had the first surgery, I made a comeback. I was going to go to Indianapolis and just kind of as a year transition, I was going to be Peyton's backup. And they wanted me to come in for a workout. The workout went great. And I was having a little shoulder pain, but I thought, it's just from the surgery, just a little soreness or whatever. And they're like, we just want to get an MRI on your shoulder to see how it is structurally in there before we sign you for the season. And they did an MRI, found a tear in my shoulder. I'm on the operating table again. And then, so after the second surgery, I ended up in Jacksonville, but I was just never the same, man. It was so frustrating. And Rex, I don't know if you've ever had the injury that took you to the point where you felt like you, but you couldn't do I would drop back to pass and I would be like, boom, there's a throw I make routinely. It's a tight throw. It's a tight window, but I can fit that in there. I just couldn't fit it in there anymore. The ball just didn't have the step on it, didn't have the velocity. And then that's when I knew that
you feel like I did the same. I'd beat my man and one dribble, dunk it. And all of a sudden I'd beat my man and he'd catch up and foul me or catch up and swipe it away. And it almost feels like your superpower is gone.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the craziest feeling, man. But Josh, getting back to your question about handling, that transition after I was done. Man, I don't know if I've never really talked about this publicly before, but I fell into like a really deep depression where I didn't even leave the house for a couple of years, man. Like I was just miserable. I was on painkillers and rehab every damn day for my shoulder and, everything, just trying to get healthy again, man. And I was just like stuck in the house. I was playing video games. I didn't want to be seen because every time I walked out of the house, everybody was like, when are you coming back? What's happening? Why aren't you playing? This, that, and the other. And it was just like torture to me, man. And so I was kind of like hid out for a couple of years. And then the best thing that happened to me was my son was born right around that time. And right about the time I feel like I have no purpose in life. I like my whole life was being a football player. Yeah. And then I'm like, who the hell am I now? I'm sitting here on the couch playing video games, don't want to go anywhere. And then when my son was born, I felt like I had a purpose. Like, all right, okay, I'm dad. Now I'm dad. So that really kind of snapped me out of it and got me going and, got me back out and doing things and, being social again and that kind of stuff. But there were a couple of years there, man, where it was a tough deal.
People don't realize, and I certainly didn't realize, I was much like you. The problem was that I, kept taking the painkillers and couldn't snap out of it. And, that just kind of became a way of life, that you were able to, go through all of that and, come out of it at a young age. I mean, you're in your 20s, still in your 20s at this point. So, and the other thing I would argue too is you I'm correct here, aren't I? You get the same CTE at college that you get in the pros, right? So you have the same, so I would argue that you played 9 years professionally,
right?
Because you're going out there and look, I just don't. People don't understand the wear and tear on the human body that being a professional athlete, it just puts you through. The human body's not meant to run up and down a basketball floor for 30, 15 years after college or high school even.
Right.
Football, especially, if you go and you play in college you redshirt and you play for 4 more years, you are beat the hell up. Absolutely. No pension. You got no pension. You got no benefits, So I just can't. I don't know how you guys aren't hurt on every play. So just kudos to you for playing the most brutal of sports.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. It was, back then, that was kind of the last group, the last era of quarterbacks where they let them hit the shit out of us. Now you can't touch them.
Yeah.
You can't even land on them when you tackle them. You can't hit them low. You can't do anything. So back then they were just blasting us, man. I mean,
and they had to, like, it was like their job to make it look as vicious as it could look. Absolutely. Right, and land full body weight land on you.
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
Because it's trying to knock you out. It's trying to knock you out of the game.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got a 300 and some pound guy hitting you, and his comes down on you, I mean, it's like the life leaves you. I mean, your breath goes out, and it's just like, I mean, you do that over and over and over throughout a game and a season and 5 seasons, 6 seasons. I mean, it gets brutal.
And it's a 300-pound guy who's an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
Who's his entire life to hit you as hard as he can and to get as much speed as he can in 8 yards and kill you. And I mean, those guys are 300 and run a 4.8. You know, like,
it's crazy, Josh. Like I thought that was the biggest difference for me, like making the transition from college to the NFL. Like in college, you know, I wasn't like the fastest guy, but I could get away from defensive linemen in college. In NFL, those guys will run you down. Those like 300-pound guys talking about, you're like, oh, I can beat him around the corner. Next thing you know, he's pulling your ass down from behind, and you're like, oh my God, this guy is like, it's crazy how athletic these dudes are and how big. No, I mean, I'm 6'5", 240 myself. I mean, I'm a big dude. I look small out there compared to those guys. I mean, they're like massive human beings that can run, man, and they're so strong and athletic. It's just, it's an incredible sport, and it's just, you know, I watch it now. I'm like, how the hell did I play that game?
Yeah,
it's crazy, man. Like,
did you have a like training camp or a moment where you were like, because they all say that it's the speed of the game changes in the NFL, you know, did you have a moment where you're like, oh shit, this is different, like a moment you remember?
Yeah, I think it was probably my first week or so of training camp. Actually, you know, when we first get there, they have a rookie camp for the rookie guys, and it was just like a 3-day little mini camp kind of thing. And at that point, I was like, oh, this is no different than college, you know, but I didn't realize it was just the damn rookies out there that you're going to get. So after the rookie minicamp, here come the veterans. so I get out there for the first couple of days with the vets, man, and I'm like, God, you got to let go of the ball early, man. Like, you got to anticipate these throws, because the windows, you know, in college, you know, if this is open in college, this is open in the NFL. You know, and you're standing there, and your coach is like, why don't you throw it to him? I'm like, he's not open. He's like, yeah, he is. His left shoulder is open. So if the guy's in his left shoulder, you got to be able to throw that damn thing to his left shoulder in a window this big, 30 yards away. And that's the NFL, man. It's like you just have to be, you just so pinpoint accurate and anticipate the throw so much more. So that was the biggest adjustment I had to have. Was the DBs, man, they close on the ball so quickly. It's just phenomenal.
Tim, we've kept you a long time. I want to get a couple. We got the Super Bowl this week. Is Joe Burrow the first LSU Tiger you're actually rooting for? And even though he beat your passing record, and now that Matthew Stafford's in the Super Bowl, how do you look back on his time with the Lions?
Yeah, you know, I think it's a great matchup. I'm really excited about it. And you know, Stafford, I've been a Matthew Stafford fan for a long time. He's just been buried in Detroit. Nobody knew how great he was, but that guy's put up numbers year in and year out that, you know, are as good as anybody in the league. He's a phenomenal player. I'm really happy for him that he gets in a situation now where he can flourish and take off and show people that, you know, didn't really know a whole lot about Matthew Stafford, what kind of player he actually is. Because, man, he's phenomenal. He's got the right coach around him. He's got talent around him. And they're playing at home. They're going to be really tough to beat. But I'm a big Joe Burrow fan. You know, like I said, even though he broke my records that lasted for 20-some years in the SEC, you know, he's got something about him. He's got a little magic, a little mojo to him it almost reminds you of like that Joe Montana feel. You remember Rex Chapman?
Yes, sir.
It was just like, no matter how big the moment was, Joe looked like he was just sitting on the beach drinking a margarita or something. You know, he was just so chill. And Burrow has that kind of attitude about him as well. And, you know, it'll be tough. You know, the Rams can get after the quarterback, obviously, with Aaron Donald and Von Miller and those guys. And the Bengals have struggled up front on the offensive line. But Burrow has find ways to make plays, man. He's got a lot of weapons on the outside. So it'll be a heck of a matchup. I'm really looking forward to watching.
That Joe Burrow, talking about him, he's so enigmatic. He's got it, whatever it is, whether it be for a player, a movie star, or whatever. Some people just have it. And he obviously does. It's like the people you talk to, if they're a Rams fan, they're for the Rams, or Bengals fan, the Bengals. But if they don't really know, they're like, I'm for Joe Burrow. Like people just love his swagger and whatnot. But it's interesting, like if he wins this thing, just the way our society is, it's going to start tearing him down, that process. You know, then people are going to make a decision not to like Joe Burrow, you know, because that's the way we are. I hope he wins this thing and is on top of the world for a little while before people start to poke and try and prod holes into him and not like his stuff, because I've never seen a guy so universally just liked from afar. Plus the Bengals, nobody's threatened by the Bengals. They're like happy for Cincinnati. They got Monday off no matter what. The kids from school, Cincinnati would go crazy if they won the Super Bowl. And LA would be like, yeah, cool, we won. That's sweet. I mean, so there's a part of that. But when did you recognize Joe Burrow had it off the field too? Like when did you see like, whoa, different?
Yeah, I think when he transferred from Ohio State and he went to LSU, and just the way he kind of just like took over that program and was like became the guy so quickly there, I think was just very impressive. And you just watch him play and just like game after game after game, the consistency was just off the charts, man. He was he's just a cool guy back there. He understands the position. He plays the game the right way. He's a fantastic leader. You can see guys respond to him and they believe in him. They trust him. He has everything. For me, playing the quarterback position is about the intangibles. At that level, everybody can throw it hard. Everybody has size. Everybody can. Everybody has the obvious skill sets, but the little intangibles are what make you a great player. The leadership, the toughness. The understanding of the systems. Just all that kind of stuff. You can get. Well, guys rally around you. Well, guys believe in you. Is what it's really about at that position. And obviously he's got that, those guys really believe in him and they've got their guy. So he's been fun to watch, been great to watch him, throughout his college career and now his NFL career. And, I just feel bad he's in the Browns division, man. My Browns are going to have a tough time beating that guy. They're going to be good for a long time.
There might be the best quarterback play in the NFL ever right now. So much talent, so much young talent. Any other young quarterbacks that you got your eye on that you really like, this guy's got it?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I thought Baker was off to a great start in Cleveland. Baker Mayfield. This year he took a step back. But last year, man, he really took off and had the team in the playoffs. They beat the Steelers in a playoff game. I thought he was really on the right track and doing things well. Lamar Jackson is incredibly fun to watch. I mean, his athleticism is it's never been, maybe Michael Vick, but but
same age as Joe Burrow, which is crazy, isn't that? Crazy. Like they're the same age. He's a young quarterback.
The guy's
in the league for so long.
Yeah, I mean, it's great talent throughout the league right now. This Justin Herbert kid for the Chargers is a really good player. It's a lot. Patrick Mahomes, it's fun to watch. He can flat out play. So there's a lot of talent in the league at that position right now. It's a great hands.
One of my favorite things that I've heard Joe Burrow say, I guess he was a good athlete growing up and played basketball and whatnot. And somebody asked him how good he was in basketball. He said, if I'd have played basketball, I'd average 15 or 16 in the league, which I love it. It.
I mean, he probably
maybe he would. Maybe he would.
You never know. Never
know. What's your favorite movie, Tim?
Ooh, favorite movie, man. God, that's a good one. Probably my favorite movie growing up was a movie called Johnny Be Good. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie.
Yeah.
You remember that he was a high school quarterback?
Anthony Michael Hall.
Yep. Anthony Michael Hall. Yeah, I think it was one of his first movies. But I'm a big Denzel Washington fan as well, so I love Denzel's movies, man. Anything he makes, I'm watching that for sure. So yeah, I like Denzel a lot.
I did a movie with Anthony Michael Hall, and we came to the read through, and he goes, "I'm Michael." I was like, "You're Anthony Michael Hall." What if you could have dinner with anybody, alive or dead, Tim? Who would you sit down with?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say probably Michael Jordan would be. Obviously huge Michael Jordan fan growing up, big inspiration. But Jordan would probably be up there. I met him a couple times. I got a chance to meet him and hang out with him a couple times, but never just like sit down and like have a long conversation over dinner or anything like that. So he would be cool to talk to, man. Just so many stories and that kind of stuff. Just talking to the greatest athlete, in my opinion, of all time would be a pretty cool deal.
Did you ever see the time Rex put 39 on him?
Yeah. I actually watched that video. That was awesome. That was awesome.
He only got about 12 of them.
Front row center for any concert, dead or alive too.
Ooh. I'm a country music fan for the most part.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess I kind of seen my favorite guys. I mean, Chris Stapleton, a Kentucky guy, is fun to watch at concert.
Yeah.
And he is super, super talented. I went and saw Morgan Wallen when he was at Rupp Arena a couple months ago. He was really good. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know who would be my ultimate concert. Just I like all music, honestly, man. I mean,
all right.
I'm doing it at the time.
So. Good. Tim, thanks, buddy.
Hold on. I got one more thing I have to ask
you.
You're chubby and you've let yourself go. So people who are just listening, wow, that is not right. He's just every time I see you, I walk away, I like shake your hand. I'm like, geez, ow, he's a grown fella. What is a Tim Couch, real quick, a Tim Couch workout week and nutrition look like? Real quick.
Well, it's every day. I'm probably weights about 5 days a week and cardio a couple days a week. But the diet is just, it's pretty basic. The morning is like egg whites, oatmeal, some fruit, then a protein shake, a couple protein shakes during the day. Lunch will be, grilled chicken, sweet potatoes, brown rice, stuff like that. Dinners, maybe a steak or some, salmon, whatever, something like that with some, broccoli, spinach. It's a pretty boring diet. I'd always been really into health and fitness, but, once I got out of, when I got done playing, it's like we talked about earlier, like, I don't know what I'm going to do to kind of fulfill this competitive edge because I have like a really addictive personality and that could go, either way. If you get it going down the wrong road, you get to, into some really bad stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm going to get addicted to health and fitness, man. I'm just going to like go down and try, because I know it's good for me. I'm going to try and do that. So I got like addicted to the point where I'm like, in the gym, like I haven't missed a workout in 20 years, man. Just like I'm always in there. Always doing something. Even on days I don't feel like it, I'll just go do a light workout or do some cardio, do something. But my goal is to try and break a sweat every day. It's not always like the most intense workout, but it's just, I just want to move my body, just whether it's go for a walk or, do something, just because if I sit around all these injuries, Rex, how it feels like I just feel so tight, so stiff, and I just don't feel good if I just sit around. So I have to be active and keep moving.
Sure. Well, every time I see you out somewhere, I always make an effort to go see you because A, you're Tim Couch, and B, you'll always say, hi, Josh. And I don't want anyone with me to be like, do you see Tim Couch? Say hi, knows me. And if I'm with my girlfriend, I'm like, we're going this way. No. We're not going over there by that guy, that genetic perfect guy. Where I'm like, got a little beer belly over here, so it's good to know. It's good to know your plan. I got to go with some more egg whites.
Oh goodness, Tim, thanks, buddy. Thanks. Come back and do this another time.
I'd love to, man. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. I appreciate having me on. Thank you.
Huge thrill for me, both of you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it, buddy.
Much love, homeboy.
I feel like I'm the luckiest Kentucky fan in the world right now. That was great. What a great guy. What an honest guy.
Yeah.
He talked about the tough times, and that's so important to hear for everyone because we all put you guys on this pedestal and you're human beings, and there's good times and bad times. To hear that he had those times and how he coped with it and how his son being born really snapped him back into life, and that's kind of a beautiful thing to hear.
I think that one of the overriding themes of recently is just hey, we've had on Fergie Jenkins, who's in his 70s. We've had on Rod Carew, who's in his 70s, talk to us about personal things and struggles that they've had in life. And Tim Couch, a guy who's 40-ish, now talking about depression and things that we never heard any grown-up talk about ever, is becoming more acceptable and more commonplace, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, well, it's something, at least on here, we've been very honest about. You and I both dealt with depression and just mental health issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, life is it's hard. So I love to hear other people chip in. I love to hear that the honesty, so people aren't trying to be so macho.
Right.
Like, I can just get up, just do it. No, it's it's refreshing. It's nice to see society starting to understand and accept it.
Yeah, with you. All right, that was episode 33 with Tim Couch. We'll be back next week, episode 34, here on the Rex Chapman Show with super cool Josh Hopkins, powered by basketballnews.com.